Good morning, my knitters. How are you? You're watching Recreational Knitting. My name is Karen. It's February the 9th, 2024, and welcome. Just want to thank everybody who has supported me, and thanks for coming back. And those of you that have just found me recently, I am so happy. I'll just give you a small backstory. The reason this is called Recreational Knitting is we traveled for almost 4 years in our 40-foot RV. We started out December 2019 from Fort Lauderdale, Florida, where we lived at the time, put everything in storage, and went on to do about an 18 months to 2 years on the road exploring the national parks. Well, we all know what happened in March of 2020. COVID hit, things went out the window. So we got to all 48 states, and we are back now in Florida and just recently bought a new home. So welcome to my home. Welcome to my little craft room. I appreciate all of you that stop in and use some of your time, your valuable time, to spend with me. I do appreciate it. You can find me on Ravelry as samplergal. I have a group, Recreational Knitting, on Ravelry. You can also find me on Instagram, which I don't use all that much, as Recreational Knitting Podcast, I think. I think that's bad that you don't even know. And of course, here as Recreational Knitting Podcast. So welcome. Everybody is welcome here. And by everybody, I mean everybody. So let the games begin. Let's get some administrative stuff out of the way right at first. We are currently in February, frog or finish. Last time I showed you all of my works in progress. I think it was last time. And I actually frogged, I think 5 projects that I had on the needles that weren't giving me joy. I am currently into this real big mode of if it doesn't bring you joy, it needs to be gone. So not necessarily that the yarn will be gone, not necessarily that the pattern will be gone, but the combination was not bringing me joy, and they got frogged. So go back and see that if you're new here. That was kind of fun. I think it was called the Wall of Shame, because I put it up and down my hallway here in the house. I think I ended up with 28 works in progress, because I had a bag that actually wasn't started, and then I had a project in 2 bags. So I think it was 28, and now I'm currently down to 27. I finished 2 of my projects and cast on another. Those of you that have been following me a while know that I've picked out things from my stash, we'll talk about that in a minute, and have them bagged up, ready to roll. I needed a stockinette round and round knit the other day, could not find one, so I started a musselburg, which you'll see in a minute. So I think I'm down to 27 works in progress. Some of those are samplers, some of those are big projects such as sweaters. I have no blankets because Florida, and I have quite a few pairs of socks that were left over from my stash that was in storage. And if you haven't seen that, go back and find. It's, I think there's 3 different videos that I go through the stash that I left in storage. It's wild. I don't remember even purchasing those. So we're in the middle of February, frog or finish. How are you doing with yours? Have you gone through all your works in progress and decided one way or another what you're doing. And you don't need to finish it this month, but you have to kind of make the decision. Let's keep this on the needles. Maybe it's on the back burner at this point. Great, perfect. That's what I'm doing with some of my bigger projects. I'm working on some of the smaller projects so I can get those off the needles and get down to what I feel is a workable amount of works in progress. If you would have told me last year that I would have had, around 30 works in progress, I would have said, no way. But I found, to be fair to me, I found about 11 or 12 works in progress in my storage. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Anyway, let's talk a little more administration. All from January 1st to December 31st, we are doing 2 make-alongs or whatever they are. One is hashtag WHIP B, no E, gone 2024. And I have a thread on my recreational knitting on Ravelry. If you don't have access to Ravelry, send it to me at recreationalknitting@gmail.com, and I will make sure that it gets in the finished object thread. I was just on there yesterday. I finally had a few moments to get on there, and wow, some really beautiful finished objects. Some socks, blankets. There's a hoodie that I almost wrestle somebody for, and some other beautiful objects as well. Hats. Good job whittling some of those whips down. Yes, there will be prizes. I'll be picking a prize sometime this month, just randomly. I'll look over at Luke and say, hey, Luke, give me a number between, and that's who wins. So if you have a picture up, so it has to be in the finished object thread. You can also chatter on there if you'd like. I don't, it's a problem. It's no problem at all. I think the fact that we're finishing things, putting them up there, showing everybody what talents we have, what beautiful objects we're making and finishing, which is the whole point of this. So go on there and look at all of them. They're beautiful. I didn't count them. I meant to count them yesterday, and I totally forgot because I knew I was going to film today. Anyway, so that's the first one. The second one is that I am, among other podcasters, we're all trying to use up our beautiful stash. Doesn't mean you need to go clear through it. If you can, that would be amazing. I know I won't, but let's try to work from our stash. So we also have that going on, which is hashtag stash B, only the B, not the E, stash be gone 2024. So we're trying to whittle that down. Now, somebody asked me, how are we keeping track of that? I use Knitometer, and I try to do it weekly. I've already knit 11 miles. No, that's a lie. 1.1 mile. I knew when I said 11 miles. No. The last 3 years that I've been doing this, I did 11, 13, and 12, and I don't know which year was which, but it can be done. You can knit a mile in a month if you have the time, and that's how I keep track of mine. You keep track however works for you. You can do it by grams, by skeins, by yards, by meters, by however. It doesn't really matter. It's just so that you can post at the end of each month and say, I've used 17 skeins in the last 2 months. Whatever. So we will look at that as well. There will be prizes. Don't know exactly what. I feel like it should not be yarn. Yeah, I feel like it should be something else. So yeah, it's rather difficult. So if you have any suggestions on what the prizes be, put them down in the comments below. Now, question for you. How many whips have you finished as of today? Put your number down below because you never know when you're going to get picked for a prize. Just saying. And if you've done 0, that's okay. Put 0 down there. It's okay. You're still allowed to be in the club. Okay? All right. So let's get on with it in it because I know that's what you're here for. Oh, there's one more thing. Hold on. One more administrative thing. This is going to be a knit-along. Some of you have decided that you are interested in making this shawl. It's not going to be a huge knit-along. If you know anybody that would be interested in doing this, please refer them to this because, again, there will be prizes. And this one might be yarn. Just saying. This is Wisdom of the Moon Shawl. Now, this is the picture from the pattern that was not printed with enough blue in the ink. So the actual original is a little more purplish than that. As soon as I saw this, I go, oh, I have to do this. Here it is in black and white. It's a paid for pattern. It will run for, I don't know, what do you think? 3 months? March, April, May? I don't know. I think that's good. That'll give us one season to do this. It is by Wool Studios, W-U-L-L Studios. And I thought that this was absolutely beautiful. Liz Kapik is the designer. Oh, it is not a paid for pattern. It's a freebie. That's what it says on the bottom of this. I don't know that she's changed that or not. Seems to me I paid for it. I could be totally wrong. It calls for DK yarn, and it calls for 3 different colors. 2 skeins of one, which I'm assuming is the purple one of gray, and 1 of white. Now, obviously, you can change your colors however you want. I think that keeping that whitish probably would be a smart move. And if you select things out of your stash, make sure that you have enough contrast. I'm not crazy about her contrast of gray in there because you really can't see it. It just kind of muddies into the purple. I'll show you what I've selected, all from my stash. None of it is hand dyed, and I forget what is what. This is Nature Spun Sport Weight, so it's not even DK. This will be my moon. And my purple is, let's see if I have the tag in there. I think it's a Trendsetter yarn, and the top is also a brown sheep leftover that I had from a sweater that I made on our trip in Nebraska. We stopped at the mill and I purchased way too much yarn, probably about 4 sweaters worth, but they're all like in the seconds category. This, I don't recall how much like per, but this is approximately 679 yards. It weighs 6.6 ounces, and this is a sport weight. And I got about 4 of these, plus different amounts of weights. They're all sport weight, but I got about 3 or 4, 5 of the gray, and one of like a melon color. You may have seen me wear it. It's a mosaic color work sweater. And I got all of it for like $19. Then I went back and bought more the next day. Because after I thought about it, I go, are you kidding me? So yeah, part of my problem here is that. So anyway, that's what my shawl will be out of. I haven't knit a shawl that's a big one for a while. So looking forward to that. If you're interested, tell me below. I just want an idea of how many people would be interested in making this. Again, let's see if I can put this down without knocking it all over. It's the Wisdom of the Moon shawl. And this is a somewhat of a shot of it. It's on Ravelry. It says it's free. I don't know if it is. Don't hold me to that. If you know, let me know, because I really think I paid for this. She may have had a good response to it and decided to make it a paid for. So it is 60 inches from tip to tip. So we'll try to do this 3 months. Yes, it will be another whip. Yes, I realize that, but you're knitting from your stash, hopefully. Obviously, it does not need to be purple. It can be any of your beautiful stash that you own, and I'm sure that many of you will have a much richer looking shawl than mine, but we are working from stash. Okay, that's the administration. Whew, that's enough. Enough of me talking, yakety yak. All righty, let's see what I have finished. Many of you might have seen this. This is my Trescao, one of my many ones. And this is made in Providence yarn by Barocco. They don't make it anymore. This is deep stash. I started this in December 28, 23, and finished it on February 4th. Now, I started this and did almost monogamous knitting, for me, monogamous knitting, for about 2 weeks. And that really made a difference, but I had a time frame. I wanted to wear this on the 5th of February. I would have had this finished in 3 weeks had I really stuck with the monogamous knitting. It is 3/4 length sleeves because there's a nugget for ya. This was on the first sleeve. So I probably could have gotten another 2 rows out of it, but I don't like to do that. I lose at Yarn Chicken a lot, it seems. And I did not want to do that with sleeves. I did not want to do, did not want to do that. So assuming that both skeins were going to be identical, I stopped. This is what I got. Went on to the second sleeve. And that's what I got. So I could have had full sleeves. I don't really care. I push my sleeves up a lot. So this is probably what really needed to be. But the moral of the story here is when you've got 2 full skeins that you need to do sleeves, make sure they're of the same weight. I would recommend getting a scale, weighing these suckers and saying, hey, wait a minute. And starting your sleeve with the lightest one, at least you'll know you'll have enough to finish. Yeah, that really sucked. But it is what it is. It's finished. It looks nice on me. I got several compliments Monday night. Yeah. And these have not been blocked, even though they're on sock blockers. And see, I lost at Yarn Chicken. So we have a brown toe. These were originally supposed to go to my son-in-law. My son-in-law said no more socks. Okay. All right. So, done. This is in Knit Spin Farm, Sport Weight for Sock Club. I do forget what the colorway was. These I started in June 2023, finished them 2/6/24. 2 whips down. Very good. All right, now I'm going to show you really what I've been working on as well. I have a hoe, even with a heel. So, yeah, so this is my first sock. This is made with the Pness colorway. I don't know whether you can see that well. It's got dark green, yellow, black, and bits of white. The Pness is a United States horse race that is it is run at Pimlico in Baltimore, Maryland, and that's the area that I'm from. And the winning horse always gets a ring of Black-Eyed Susans. Black-Eyed Susans are not yet blooming in May, which is when the horse race happens. So what they do is they take daisies and paint the insides of them black. And the yellow around them are the yellow daisy flowers. So, and of course the green is the flower of the Black-Eyed Susan, which is really not a Black-Eyed Susan. So I've got a hoe and started the toe. That was started last night. Oh, for God's sake, I dropped my double pointed needle and it went straight into that bag. I don't know whether you can see that. I could not have done that on a bet. Anyway, these are, I think these are at the point where I can just, or very close to the point where I can just start knitting round and round. They are the 3x1 rib recipe. I just use a 64, and these are size 1. These are weapons. Let me get one to show you. Make sure I don't pull my needles, my stitches off. I think these are signature. These are 2.25 millimeter, size 1 US. And I don't know whether you can see that at all. I think these are signature. I must have had some money at some point to buy these. Does anybody know if these are signature? They don't say. They have like what looks to be dollar signs, SS, and then this curly QS. Is that signature? You know they went out of business, right? So, yeah, I didn't know. I don't know. Anyway, keeping that in my Monarch Knitting out of Pacific Grove, California, a beautiful little yarn store in Pacific Grove, near the Monterey Peninsula, in the Monterey Peninsula. Lovely little place where we stayed most of COVID, and it was a souvenir. So yeah, I don't often talk about where I've gotten my bags or who my bags are and what my needles are. You got to do your own thing. But now that we're off this trip, I remember this shop, and I would love to have had this as my local yarn store. It's just a really nice place. So if you're in the area of the Monterey Peninsula in California, Northern California, stop in, give them a hey. They've got some beautiful yarns. Okay, that's my first whip. My second whip you've seen before. These are my monkey socks. These will be for my daughter Kate, who has a small foot. I think this is where I was before, so I've made some good progress on that in, I don't know, maybe a couple weeks. I don't know. So yeah, I've already got where the cut-in heel will go. And this is only the first one. So yes. All right. And my last pair of socks, because it seems like I'm on a sock roll, even though I'm really not. I have very little sock mojo, but these three that you've just seen were works in progress that I had started, and they were really a toe at that point. And so I have made good progress. Here is the first one. I think that I've shown you this, that I finished the first one. These are shorty-ish socks. As Karen from Karen Knit says, these are sort of shorties. I don't know what her recipe is, but these stick out of tennis shoes a little bit. First one's done. Second one is I'm onto the pattern, to the foot. If I really work monogamously on this sock, I should have these done by the next podcast, which would be a whole nother whip. These were started, I don't know, can't tell you when, probably 2016-ish. I don't know. It's by Lorna Lace. The yarn is Lorna Lace's, and of course we know she doesn't dye any longer. And the colorway is Fiddlehead, which is greens, copper, little blue gray in there. It's pretty. So you know they're not so loud. These will be for me, and I can't say that I'm enjoying them because I'm now a magic loop sock knitter, but it's making me flex some muscles that I'd forgotten that I had. When I have to tell you a funny story about these Pness Socks. When I went to cast on these socks, I use Judy's Magic Cast On. I've used it for several years. I don't know what I used before that. So that means that I did something entirely different for this sock. And I'm trying to, you know, figure out what it is. I have no clue. So saying, okay, I'll cast on Judy's Magic Cast On, which I did, and it fell apart. So I said, let me try it again. I spent about 3 hours trying to cast on this sock if we put it all together. It wasn't all at one time. I would, you know, like lost my mind more than now. But I finally got it, and I don't know what I was doing wrong. But I'm gonna have to use YouTube videos. It's been a while since I cast on a toe up sock and totally forgot how. Yeah, crazy. All right, and my last whip. Whip, 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 whip. I didn't get out the goat today. Oh, wait a minute. Those of you that are new, every time I finish something, the goat screams because he's so happy that I'm using his fiber or his cousin's fiber or fiber. Doesn't matter. And this is for the socks. 2 socks, 2 screams. All right, so I know some of you hate the goat. I love my goat. No yodeling pickle today. Sorry. All right. I'm probably the last one in the knitting world that had not cast on a muscle burr. Muscle burr? We Americans don't do other accents and dialects very well, or languages. Yeah, anyway, I think it's a muscle burr, I think. Anyway, most of us call it a muscle burr because we don't know how to say it correctly or forget. And I was way late to the party, way late. In fact, the party probably is cleaning up time. But anyway, I cast on this the other day because I needed a doctor's waiting room knit where you just knit, something small. I have a sweater that I could have used, but I don't want to haul all that big stuff into a doctor's office. So I started this, and this is how far I've gotten. This is the yarn that I had shown you that I was going to use for three muscle burrs. You see why we don't say it right? Yeah, I have 3 different yarns that I picked out to make 3 different muscle burrs. Muscle burrs. Yeah, anyway, this is ancient yarn. The maker is Henry's Attic, and it is 90% merino and 10% tussa silk. It is heaven to work with. If you could feel how soft this is, and now the ball has just rolled. Wonder if it went in the plastic bag like my DPN. Anyway, this is just exceptional. And now I see why everybody is making like 25 of them. Yes, what a great pattern this is. And the fact that you can have 2 different yarns, you know, and 2 different kind of hats. This is going to be for a friend of mine that is going to take a cruise. They're going to fly into London, take a cruise, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, and back to London. I don't know how it all transports. They didn't even really know at this point. But I said, oh, I'll knit you a hat. And she goes, what do I need a hat for? I said, it's going to be a little chilly. We're in Florida. She's used to August being, you know, 6 feet below hell as far as the heat goes. And she's like, really? Am I going to need a jacket? I said, if you're going into Ireland, darling, and Scotland, I'd say yes. It's not going to be a big jacket. You're not need to wear your, you know, but you're going to be on a cruise. Your ears will get cold. I'll make you a hat. So this is what I'm making her. And I have some, I don't know whether you can see this up here. It's very similar. Gosh, I hope you can see that, the camera. That may be the other side of it, or I might have something else that might be more fun. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see when I get there. Obviously, there's enough. Excuse me. It did not go into the plastic bag with the DPN. There's enough here to make the entire hat. Don't know whether that's going to happen. I see all the two-sided hats and I go, well, that would be fun. Flip it over and have a second hat. Yeah, that would be fun. So I don't know what I'm doing with that. What do you think? Should I make 2 different yarns? Tell me down below what you would do. This reads as a solid, but it's a marled look because the silk did not take the dye like the merino. So it is probably one of the softest yarns I've ever knit with. And that's saying a lot because I've really had some beautiful yarns that I've knit with. So that's my cast on and now a whip. So I'm still at, what I tell you, 27 whips, but that's not going to take long because that's like 2 days of knitting, doctor's office. I have 2 doctor's appointments next week and 2 the following week. Yeah. It's fun to be sick. So that's it for my work this time around. Getting those whips finished, working down stash. All of this is stash yarn that I'm working on. I have not purchased anything. Lie. I did purchase a new Swift. When we were out on the road, I had one of those umbrella Swifts that's plastic, that's about as cheap as you can get. And the metal pieces that are, there's one that kept getting a hold of yarn. And I wanted to shoot the Swift. But I would make do. I mean, I used it all the way through. I think I bought that when we were in Colorado. So up until then, I was hand winding balls. I just never thought that I would really need so much. And when we were camp host in Monterey, California, the camp host beside me was a knitter and she had one of the Amish Swifts. So I used that if I needed to. And I really made use of that and so that was good. I have always had a ball winder with me so that I could, I knew that I could put it over a chair, over my knees, whatever would work. So I bought myself a Swift. I bought one on Amazon. I did some research, I did the reviews, I did the whole spiel. And I said, okay, this one looks pretty good from all the reviews. And it was from someplace, I've never heard of the brand. And it's a piece of shite, as my mother used to say, in her attempt not to use the other word. So I'm in the process of sending that back because the wood pieces on the Swift are about as flimsy as a tongue depressor. I'm not confident that it would last more than a couple of months. And while not terribly pricey, pricey enough. So what I did was I got in there and did some more research, and I have ordered a likey, one of those. And so I'm hoping that it will be good. What I had originally wanted was the tabletop model, And that's why I'd gotten the original one from Amazon. Yeah. And so the Likey Vitke is going to be one of the clamp-ons, which does present more of a problem for me in my space. Hoping that it's a little pricier, but not by much. And every place that I looked, it was out of stock a lot. And I'm hoping that means that it's a good brand that will hold up, and they just haven't discontinued it because it's a piece of shite. So I'll keep you up on that one. So that's my only purchase, and that's not yarn. That will be very nice to get rid of my other plastic and metal Swift. I think I paid $17 for it. It has given me $17 worth of aggravation and then some, but it also has served its purpose. I think I used it for 2.5, 3 years while we were on the road. And while it still works, I may just put it on, a free marketplace, because there's got to be somebody that doesn't own one that might appreciate it. So anyway, make sure you put your comments below, because tell me how many whips you finished. Are you seeing that? There might be a prize drawn, just saying. Let's see, what's happening in life? Life has been absolutely freaking nuts between doctors and painters. We have finished with painters. 2 painters, the first one being totally incompetent and unethical. We decided we would just put reviews up on Yelp and put a complaint in with the Better Business Bureau. What else can you do? And hopefully that somebody will read those and say, oh, thanks for that. I appreciate it. Even though she's responded with a total fabrication of what really happened. Of course she did. So the second painter we hired came in, looked at the work, and he goes, who did this? So it wasn't just us being overly perfectionistic, because my husband does have a tendency to do that. They came in, they did their work. He had day hired a painter to do one of the bedrooms, and the other painter did the 2 bathrooms. The bathrooms were impeccable, the bedroom not so much. So we had to call him in to fix what was missing. But it's now done. Luke had to go behind him and do a little line work with painter's tape, but it's finished. We now have 2 bedrooms, or 2 rooms, this one being one of them, that may be white for a while because of money, but also because we're kind of like with the painters. Luke had a stress test yesterday, has been to a urologist. Am I sharing too much? Old man, what can we say? You start to have a doctor for every body part when you hit, 55-ish. And I have 2 doctor's appointments next week and 2 the following week. So yay us. Yeah. But it's nice to be able to be back and have medical care provided. Yeah. So I should have been sitting here knitting on my my muscle bro, or however you say it. So that's been kind of crazy. Those 2 things. We've had quite a snap of chilly weather, and then it's like 39-ish, 42-ish in the morning when we get up. And then we dress like it's 42, and by 10 o'clock we're peeling layers off, and by 2 o'clock it's 58, and then it goes back down. So it's very strange weather for us, because we're used to South Florida, where really we had maybe 4 cold days a year. And when I say cold, I mean like 45 in the morning and then up to 60 in the afternoon. So not really cold. But the Floridians, the real Floridians, they've got their socks on with their sandals. So yeah, it's a thing. So we have been doing inside things. We're now in the middle of hanging some pictures now that walls are painted, and we're looking forward to doing more of that today. And that's where we're at. I'm knitting a lot with joy. This muscle bro is just, this is my definition of joyful knitting. It's the process. I enjoy the product, but man, this process of just exercising my hands, which my arthritis doctor says is the best for the arthritic thumbs. And yeah, this is joy. Tell me below what you're knitting that's giving you joy right now. Are you monogamous? Do you have a plan for your whips? Are you knitting, or I know a lot of people assign, like Mondays I'm knitting on this pair of socks, Tuesday I'm knitting on this hat, Wednesday is, my sweater day, etc., etc. Or I've even heard some people say that they assign a color. Let's say, dark colors on a Monday just because it's Monday. And then, like red on Tuesday, and et cetera, et cetera. I have too many blue and green things, and I don't think that would work so well for me. Uh-oh. Dropped a stitch here off my needle. There we go. So yeah, I didn't have any 16 or thereabouts. So I'm doing magic loop on my muscle bro. Yes, you all can laugh at me. It's fine. I'm used to being laughed at. It's okay. So I'm hoping that you'll have great plans this weekend for your knitting and for some fun, which to me are the same. But you probably have a better, social life than I. Yeah. It's Super Bowl weekend here in the United States. American football, Kansas City Chiefs, and what's that other team? San Francisco 49ers. My Ravens lost, and they were horrible. And so Kansas City beat them, and they should have, because they were horrible. But our quarterback made most valuable player, which is, he should have. He really is quite a quarterback. So that's this weekend. We have not been invited to a Super Bowl party, unless Luke comes home from the CVS and somebody there has invited us. Highly doubtful. Yeah, we thought maybe there would be somebody, but that's okay. okay because then I get to stay home and knit. So I probably will get at least a pair of socks finished, and maybe even this bad boy. Yeah, give me some ideas what I should do with this hat. Should I do a different color for the second half? I don't know. And if you have any tips for that, I know some people have done a purl row where you're supposed to switch, you know, the yarn, or, you know, the second half. And if you have any other tips, because I know I'm the last one on the planet that hasn't knit one of these yet. So, and I kept looking at it thinking, yeah, it's cute, but now I get it. I really get it. And that is a paid pattern. If you are like me and have been living in a cave, kidding, but it's the Muscle Burrow hat. It looks like Muscle Burrow here in the States. And it's by a Solo Teague. Is that her name? Oh, the mind is a terrible thing to waste. Yes. So I think that's all I have to say today. I'm hoping that you're enjoying your knitting. I think I started to sign off about 5 minutes ago. And I'm hoping you're enjoying your knitting as much as I am. And I'm hoping that you're making some headway on your whips and making some plans for that beautiful stash that you've got sitting around. And don't forget about the Knitalong that we're doing with the, I cannot remember the name of this thing for the life of me. Wisdom of the Shawl. Wisdom of the Moon Shawl, and then I misstated. Okay? Please put that if you're interested in doing that. And tell me what colors you're using, because I just think it's a beautiful shawl, and I can see it in so many colors. I can see it like in a navy. I can see it in, you know, like even a lighter blue than navy. I can see it in fall colors. I just think it's just a really beautiful pattern. And if you've not tried color work before, I'm not a guru on color work. But I think the instructions look easy enough, and we'll practice together. And it looks like there'll be quite a bit of knitting before we get to the color work. So there's probably a tutorial out there for it. I could be wrong, but yeah, there should be a tutorial out there for it. So I really am going to leave you now, because I've, you know, muttered on and rambled on. I usually don't do that because I know that time is precious to all of us. And I do appreciate that you've been with me and stuck with me today. And I hope that you've enjoyed what you've seen. And if you have, please subscribe. It costs nothing. It really helps me with the algorithms. It helps if you like the video. And I'm going to ask a favor while we're here about all of that YouTube-y stuff. YouTube has really changed in the last few months. Be gentle with the podcasters. They really have very little to do with anything that's changed. If you could like each video that you watch and subscribe to that channel and leave a comment on that channel, that person's analytics will go up dramatically. And then other knitters will have a chance to broaden their channels. So next time I'm going to leave a list of, or talk about a list of podcasters that I've just recently found. Yeah, that's what my plans are for the next time. So until then, you know it, knit in peace.